Welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. We have with us today Maurice van der Heijden, who heads up the EMEA Digital First and Experience Management business in Verint, which defines and delivers CX strategies for their customers. Maurice has got a strong background in CX consulting, where he spent over a decade working directly with clients across industries, developing impactful solutions for clients and driving actionable intelligence into their business. Welcome, Maurice. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Maurice, digital experiences are supercharging brands and how they interact with customers. How do you see digital experiences transform customer engagement in the future?
Well, that's an excellent question. So on the whole, what we do see is that digital experience, they change the customer journey for the better, and customers do appreciate that. So Verint conducts an annual digital engagement study, and this year it was shown for the first time, really, that good digital experience has become the most critical part of the overall experience. And even more so, 78% of people will reward you with a purchase if they feel that your digital experience is amazing. So digital experiences are becoming ultra important and they pay off. But we still see a gap between what brands are promising and what customers are really experiencing. So in one of the surveys from last year, we saw that 91% of CEOs believe that growth is fueled by delivering better customer experiences, but only 20% of customers feel that their brand is customer-centric. So there is a massive gap between the promise of a brand and the reality that people feel. And you can see this because customers have higher expectations now as well, specifically in the digital engagement, and there is still a lot of disconnect. So in a recent banking study Verint did, we saw that 73% of people that contact a call center, they had first tried to resolve their query or inquiry digitally. So although digital services are getting better and better, very often they still fall short of the expectations of customers, and they still have to go to voice channels to actually make their problems solved. So there's still a lot of focus required here to make it all more seamless. But to summarize, digital experience are transforming experience as we speak, and largely for the better. So, but still a way to go to connect it all up.
Certainly, but you're spot on there. And there is a lot of investment being directed towards laying the strong foundation for the digital experience tech stack. What, according to you, are the main challenges you are seeing companies face when evolving their tech stack?
Yeah, so we discussed this a lot with our customers. But first of all, the CX industry has always been people cost dominated, and it still is. So we have estimated that the labor costs in CX are about $2 trillion, whereas software spend is more in the region of 65 billion. So although investments in the tech stack and in technology are big, they still pale in comparison to labor cost. And that brings problems with it because we're now in a time period with wage rises and inflation. So when brands are realizing they can't really hire their way out of that hole on the way to better CX, that is unaffordable. So as you say, investment in the tech stack is now the right way forward to create better customer experience. And I'm coming to your actual question. I think the main challenge for companies is protecting themselves from disruption whilst going through a digital transformation. So many brands have built out enormous telephony and CRM systems that drive their customer experience processes in the background. They're now being asked to focus on building new digital experiences, and many companies are looking at replacing the whole contact center, voice and digital in one go. But that is a super risky strategy. So in Verint, we have adopted an open platform approach to take the risk out of evolving the tech stack. So our platform has a series of best-of-breed applications with an open ecosystem. And that means you can keep things that work well, link them up to the platform, and use only Verint applications that you require to modernize and accelerate. For instance, you might want to introduce a chatbot to manage customer interactions and routing. So with our solution, you can keep your voice and digital channels as you have, and you can, as you have already set them up, and if you're happy with those, and our bot will just work with the inputs and outputs as part of that philosophy. So I think the open approach on the whole will make IT decisions a bit more bite-sized and manageable. So you don't have to throw away stuff. But the big issue is really about, where do you start with your tech stack, and how far do you go in transforming it at this point in time?
Definitely. And of course, with that, the real pertinent question is what is the top technology enabler that is driving digital experience transformation? Which one would you pick to be the one that's really helping brands excel right now, Maurice?
That's a very good question. A lot of people would say, Chat GPT here, but I'll come back on that later. So I think my first choice here would be IVA, the intelligent virtual assistant, also known as the chatbot. So basically, a bot can deflect customers from using calls, and customers can dive directly into a digital channel with a high percentage of tasks being completed straight away in that particular channel. So it's cheaper to service, and it's easier for the customer. So that is really a massive big gain currently that's driving the transformation. But not every chatbot is an enabler. So there are good ones and there are bad ones. So, and a good one is really categorized by three things. So it has to detect customer intent very well. So an IVA has to be able to recognize, the customer problem as soon as it's possible, so they can either solve it or handle it. And this is where AI and self-learning really come in to find that intent of your customer. So it has to provide an accurate response, and that sounds straightforward, but it needs to take into account customer circumstances and data, so stuff that you already know, so you don't have to ask obvious questions that actually are already available in your database. And thirdly, a good IVA also knows when to hand off to a human agent. There's nothing more frustrating for a customer if they want to get to an agent and the bot keeps on looping them back and forth with meaningless questions and solutions. Knowing when to hand off seemingly to a human agent is actually one of the hallmarks of a really good chatbot experience. So coming back to the question, a good IVA can be deployed for speech as well as digital channels, and it can take care of an enormous amount of customer queries directly. So, IVAs are currently really the top tier of things that I would say that are really driving better experience at higher volumes.
Certainly, and we see that coming up quite constantly, actually, in the reports that we put together as well, where we check the pulse of the industry and where the investment is flowing. And always, it's AI and chatbots that are on the first rank, to be very honest. So clearly, that's the direction that most companies are following as well. Now, once again, what are some of the most innovative ways companies are leveraging digital experience, Maurice? When you're talking to your clients, how are you seeing this evolving?
Yeah, and really there has been a lot going on in the last few months, and so, and as we said, digital experiences are now the most important aspect of the total experience for customers. So it really counts now what you do digitally. So one of the more innovative ways now, even in the last few months, is the use of Chat GPT and the open AI capabilities. So not only can this create a better end user experience, but it's also super useful to make digital processes more streamlined for staff. So as an example, Verint is embedding large language models like OpenAI into summarization processes. So for example, customers had a very long chat with a bot and an agent online, but that needs to be transferred to an agent on the phone. So we let large language models create a short summary of everything that has happened with the customer so far. So the call center will be up to speed in seconds, really, to talk to the customer. So, those kind of technologies, they create very, very smooth customer journeys. So, and the other technology that really helps customers to have a way better digital experience is semantic search capability. So this is used in chatbots and knowledge-driven applications like FAQs and user communities. So, and the principle here is that a customer can use their own language to ask a question, and via semantic search, the technology can interpret that in the right way to answer, query, or route that customer. For instance, A customer can tell the chatbot of a bank, I want to buy a house in France, for instance. Now, via semantic search, the bot will come back and say, okay, do you want to contact our international mortgages department? So the technology understands that buying a house involves a mortgage, that France is international, and it knows there is an international mortgage team. So, and those kinds of technologies make chatbots smarter, make digital processes way smoother because you as a person can be less precise, it understands you better. So straight to the answer of a question you have only half asked, really.
Certainly. And again, with all the innovation, all the tech, there's so much that can be done with crafting these digital experiences. What excites you the most about digital experiences?
Well, there's a lot that excites me about digital experiences, but I think from a customer's perspective, I think the additional experience that you can have through the digital channel are really the most exciting part. So digital channels give brands the opportunity to innovate, and that's really where we need to go. So a digital channel should not be just a replacement of an analog channel. It should add something meaningful for the customer. And for instance, if you look at Uber, is in essence a digital taxi service, but their digital approach made it possible to show where your taxi is while you're waiting. This takes away enormous amounts of anxiety and stress for customers because you know exactly how long you will wait. Another good example are hotel apps where they could have just been used to show your reservation and amend it, but you can now check in via your app and get a digital key card loaded up on your mobile phone. Again, that has added great functionality. You don't have to queue up in the hotel. You can go straight to your room with only your phone. So those two examples show that the sky is the limit, really, for digital experiences if brands innovate. And then secondly, from a CX workforce perspective, better digital experiences take the mundane out of their jobs as well, leaving the people, on the phone and on the chatbots on the other side of the web chats, leaving them with the more interesting and the involved customer contacts where their experience is really needed. So, with better chatbots and journey routing and automations, customers can go very far with self-serve and self-exploration. And then the contact center agents are really the cherry on the top. So they can deal with complexities and the cases that really need empathy and attention. So really everybody wins here. So finally, I hope that we get to see many of these examples of where digital experience is going, during your event in Riyadh in September. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Certainly, we're looking forward to it as well and to listen to how Verint can actually assist organizations that are actively in their digital transformation journey, trying to excel in digital experiences. And Saudi Arabia is definitely a very happening market for the same. So we look forward to seeing you there, Verint, as well as I think a lot of the organizations that are going to be joining us there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.